So today we are going to be working on 2A and your homework will be 2B. The work for the next week will all be very similar, and we're going to continue with problems very similar to this one. Today's is the $8 per hour problem. You'll be seeing ones with other values per hour. Okay, so let's get started. We're looking for a part-time job. Patio Furniture is hiring furniture assemblers. The job to remove furniture parts from shipping containers and assemble furniture pays $8 per hour. After your interview, the company offers you the job. So question 1 says, during the summer, you can work for 8 hours per day and 5 days a week. How much money will you earn after 1 whole week? So that's what we first want to do, and then in a complete sentence, we're going to describe how we did that. So does anyone have an idea of how we could figure out how much money we're going to get in 1 week?
I do.
All right, walk us through it.
All right, so what I did was I did 8 times 8 because he earns $8 per hour, and then if he works 8 hours a day, that'd be $64 per day.
Perfect. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to just pause just like that. That's good. Yeah. So $8 per hour and 8 hours a day. So that's going to tell me I get $64 per day. Excellent. Continue on.
So then I did $64 in a day, and I multiplied that by 5 days a week, and I got $320 every week.
All right. Who agrees with that? What do we think? Yeah, exactly correct. Good. Okay. So exactly, we want to take it one step at a time. We want to find how much I would make per day. And then since I work 5 days, then we would multiply that by 5. So we get $320 per week. So now what we want to do is describe how you found that. And so you did a really good job while you were explaining that, using the correct labels and so forth. So we did 8 times 8. So instead of saying I multiplied 8 times 8, we're going to say I multiplied, and you can copy this along with me. I multiplied the hourly wage by the number of hours worked per day and then multiplied by the number of days worked. Okay, so I multiplied the hourly wage, which was the $8, by the number of hours, which was 8 hours. I got my answer, and then I took that and multiplied it by the number of days worked. Any questions with number 1? Okay, you can finish copying that and then start reading number 2. Okay, so for number 2, during the school year, we work 4 hours each day. How much will you earn after 1 day? So notice what I've been doing in parts 1 and part 2. I've been underlining the key important information. I encourage you to do that. So we're looking at 4 hours a day, and the question is just asking me how much do I make after 1 day? It's not about 1 week. So can we hear from somebody else about what I would do? Max? Max is in the classroom. Go ahead, Max. Very good. So Max said, I'm going to multiply 4 times 8. So again, that's correct, right? 4 hours times 8 is the hourly wage. So that $8 per hour times the amount of hours, and that gives me $32. So there's less to explain. All we had to do is multiply two numbers. So it's just going to be the first part of our sentence from the last problem. What did we do? I multiplied the hourly wage, that $8, by the number of hours worked per day, which was the 4. Okay, so remember, in my explanations, we're trying to avoid numbers. Instead, we use labels. Any questions so far? Okay, once you have that, why don't you scroll on down to number 3, read that scenario, and start thinking about how you might solve it, and then we'll try it together.
Is it okay if I go ahead to the other problems?
Just stay on the first page, but if you want to start looking at all the problems on the first page, that's totally fine.
So 1 through 4?
Yeah. All right, I think everyone has finished copying 1 and 2, so let's talk number 3. Number 3 says you want to buy a bicycle for $372. If you save every cent you earn, how many hours must you work in order to make enough money to buy the bicycle? And then write a complete sentence. So, who has an idea for this one? Can we hear from somebody else who might know? We have a total amount of money.
I'll do it.
All right, give us an idea.
So what I did is I took, I knew that 80 times 5 was 400. So
Okay.
if the bike was $372, and if he worked, I looked at the first problem, and he worked 64 hours a week, and he got 320. So I knew he needed more money than that. So I just added 16 hours for him to get 80 hours to 400 to have leftover money, because
Gotcha.
you can't get the exact amount. So
Okay, so that's definitely a good start, and that would be a fantastic estimation. Exactly what you did. That would be a fantastic estimation. But what if I want to know exactly? Max? Divide. Very good. We're going to kind of work backwards, right? Before we were trying to find the amount of money, so we were multiplying. This time we have the amount of money, but I want to figure out how many hours. So we're going to kind of undo what we just did. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So Max is saying we're going to divide. What are we going to divide, Max?
You're going to divide 372 by 8.
Very good. So we're going to divide 372 by 8. So this is because this is the total money, and this is the money earned per day. So total money, I'm just putting labels under it, divided by the money per day. Sorry, money per hour. I apologize. Let me fix that. Money per hour will tell us how many hours we'll need to work. Does that make sense? So you don't need to always write it out like I just have. Just for our notes purposes, I want you to be clear of what this means. So we have our total money divided by the amount of money we make per hour will tell us how many hours we need to work. So 372 divided by 8 gives me 46.5. So how many hours would we need to work? We would have to work for 46 and a half hours. If I asked you the question, though, how many whole hours would you have to work? What if the option wasn't to work a half an hour? How many hours then would I have to make sure to say?
Was 9 right then? 80?
No, we wouldn't have to go that far. Max?
Oh, wait, it would just be 47?
Exactly, yes, okay? Because we'd have to make sure to work that extra bit so that we don't lose any money, right? But we wouldn't have to go crazy high, that's all.
Is what I did okay, though?
That would only if the question had said estimate. In this case, we actually wanted to come up with an exact. Okay?
Oh, okay. All right, I changed it, but.
Perfect. So write a complete sentence now. So we will say, I divided the total money needed by the amount of money made per hour. Okay? So number 4 says, if you save only half of the money you earn, how many hours would you have to work to earn the bike? So before it was saying we make $8 an hour and I'm actually saving every $8 to put towards the bike. This time around it's saying I'm making $8 an hour, but I only save half of that. So technically, what would sort of feel like the amount of money we're saving per hour? So normally we're making $8 an hour and I save the $8. This time around, we're making the $8, but we only save half of that. So how much per hour am I actually saving? Come on, guys, you got this. I usually make $8, but I'm only going to save half of that.
$4.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So $4. So we're going to do the same type of thing here, taking the total money needed,
but divide it by 4.
But just divide it this time by 4. And that will tell me how many hours I need. And 372 divided by 4 gives me 93 hours. Which makes sense, right? If I'm not saving as much, clearly I'm going to have to work much longer than before. So I divided the total money needed for the bike by half of the hourly wage. Okay, so instead of dividing by 8, I divided by half of that, which was 4. Any questions so far on 1 through 4? How are we doing at home? Are we copying okay? Does anyone need more time before I move the page? Tell me at home because I can't see you. Okay. those of you guys in the classroom, I can scroll on the Zoom, but the front screen stays frozen, so you can keep copying if you need to, okay? All right, so once we have that, now what we're going to do is we're going to complete a table. We're going to see tables a lot coming up. So if we look at this table, our left side is talking about each week. Our second column is talking about the time worked. And when I talk about time, we want to be specific with our unit. In this case, we're talking about the hours. And then our last column is our total earnings. And again, what's the unit? We're talking about dollars, right? We're not talking about pesos or we're not talking about cents. We're talking about dollars. So what I want you guys to do is fill out this chart. And to do so, we're going to do all of our work right down below. So let's do the first one together. For week 1, is everybody good copying in the class? Can I unfreeze this up here? Okay. So for week 1, it's saying I'm working 11 and a half hours. Well, how much am I making per hour, everybody? What's this?
$8.
$8, right? This whole packet is about the $8 an hour problem. So we're going to multiply 11 and a half hours times $8 per hour. And we can do that. Gives me 92. So in week 1, I worked for 11 and a half hours. I multiply that by 8, and that tells me I earned $92 for that week. Okay? What I would like you guys to do right now is I'd like you to go calculate for week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. So I'll start week 2s for you, so we're all off on the right track. This time it would be 20 hours, and again, times the 8 hours, $8 an hour. Okay, so finish that up and keep on working and then fill in the table there. So she said we're going to multiply 16 times 8. Very good. 16 hours times the 8 hours, and we get 128. Excellent. And then make sure to put that into the into the box. And good, Caitlin. Thank you for participating. 128. All right. How about week 4? Alishka. Very good. So she said 10 times 8, so 10 hours times the hourly wage of 8 gives me $80. Excellent. One more. Someone at home, chime in. You got this. Or type it in the chat.
Can I do it?
All right. Last one.
For me or for someone else?
For you.
Okay. So for week 5, 9.5 times 8 is 76.
All right. Very good. And thank you to all those who are participating. I really appreciate that. And it helps you be engaged and get things correct too. So excellent. Okay. Yes, sir, ma'am. Where did I get the 8 from was the question. Who knows that?
I do.
Who's that?
Isn't the 8 how much he earns?
Exactly. Was that Moses who chimed in?
Yeah.
Good job. Exactly. This whole problem, if I go back to the very beginning, this whole problem is that we're going to make $8 per hour. Okay? But throughout this week, what we're working on, guys, that may change. So understand that tomorrow, it's not necessarily that we always multiply by 8. Okay? We're multiplying by 8 because we're multiplying hours by the hourly wage, which is 8 this time. All right, so complete sentence. Use a complete sentence to explain how you found your earnings for each week. And all we did was multiply what? What 2 numbers would we always multiply? Max.
The hours, right?
Exactly. So I multiplied the amount of hours worked by the hourly wage. Okay, so the amount of hours worked is what changed each time, right? 11 and a half, 20, 16, etc. but that hourly wage was that $8 that always remained constant. Any questions? Okay, so when you have finished that, you have shown all your work, you've written in complete sentences, you can scan that and you can upload it right on Google Classroom, okay?